Mitch McConnell's bill dies a quick death in the Senate, and if you watched it, it was scary to watch. I mean, it was just, as a nail biter. And, it basically left you with almost no nails. But if you watched his bill die this sudden, quick death, are you entitled to hazard pay? Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LALATE, part of our 2-hour programming block every day on afternoons. Starts with the check, then goes to hazard pay. 30 minutes after this video is unemployment, so tune in for that. Big developments about LWA, UI, PUA, FPUC. A lot of states have announced new details from FEMA minutes ago. So I will have that breaking details for you right after this video within 30 minutes. Then finally rent after that video. This is part of our 3.5-hour programming schedule every day here on LALATE. And if you like this video, certainly like the video and subscribe to this channel. Let me get to the incredible news shortly, minutes ago. Mitch McConnell's Senate bill that was, bad, worse than like a day-old chicken, was introduced less than 48 hours ago and tossed the curb today like yesterday's leftovers. So as we sit here today, what does that mean about hazard pay? Will you get hazard pay? Is there any future you get hazard pay? Can you even hope to get $10,000 under hazard pay? Or is that about as wishful thinking as thinking that, Kim Cattrall will return to Sex and the City with Sarah Jessica Parker and hug one day? I just don't see that ever happening. Let me get to the incredible news. First, hazard pay was supposed to appear in a second phase of today's bill called Second Stimulus Phase 2, or a third stimulus, in a bill to be introduced later in the month of September. Well, the person who said that, actually several people who said that, have now backed off, and so it doesn't seem that that's ever going to happen at all. In the last 7 days, Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, Larry Kudlow, Mitch McConnell have really told us a lot of stuff and never held by any of them. And one of the most troubling ones for purposes of hazard pay was when Steve Mnuchin over the last 2 weeks said, we want to do this twice. We first want to do the easy stuff this week and get it done within a 24-hour turnaround, a 1-week turnaround time. And then we want to do the more difficult stuff, which would potentially be hazard pay. And we would do that shortly thereafter, maybe, and then by all indications that he meant late September, early October. Well, when he was asked about that stage 3 stimulus or third stimulus package yesterday when walking across White House grounds, he said, I don't know if I want to do that. What do you mean if you don't know you want to do that? It's like, you give a press briefing, we're going to do something, and then we're not doing it? Mark Meadows has not been asked follow-up either, but he's expected to really sort of reverse his theory as well. So where is this hazard pay ever going to happen? And is there any hope for hazard pay as we sit here tonight for purposes of a legislative body? There are certain things I can see happening. There's certain things I can navigate through, and there's other things that just simply don't seem like they're going anywhere. And as we sit here this afternoon, hazard pay, for purposes of congressional bill, does not seem to be happening, at least as of today. Now, everything could change. I mean, Nancy and Steve could have a negotiation overnight and say, we changed our mind, we can start negotiating again. And just don't be surprised it doesn't happen. But as we sit here on a Thursday afternoon with NFL season about to kick off, hazard pay is not kicking off anywhere. It seems to be slowly dying a quick death in the Congress with no progress on congressional action for stimulus. Now, if you watched the video before this, I talk with you about progress for purposes of executive action. And if you watch my other hazard pay videos over the last week, I've talked to you about progress for hazard pay for purposes of private businesses, state, and local providing hazard pay. Those are all different. What am I talking about? When you talk about hazard pay, there are 3 different groups that can be paying your hazard pay. First, there's the federal government. Second, there's the state or local government. Third, there's the private employer. And so a lot of states, and I have two more states here right now, and minutes from now to go over with you, have been paying their employees or employees that work in the state hazard pay, and they're calling it hazard pay. Second, there are businesses that are paying bonuses. They're not calling it hazard pay. And they paid it earlier in the spring when COVID first hit, and some of them are reluctant to pay it again. More about that in a second. Finally, there's the federal hazard pay, which we've always been focused on. The federal bill written by the House, introduced from the House, the HEROES Act, and that landed in the Senate and never went anywhere else from there. That's the $10,000. It's $10,000 based upon the number of hours you worked when the pandemic first hit in January, all the way up to the present, $13 an hour, times the number of hours you worked, whether you're part-time, full-time, laid off, unemployed, or furloughed, and everything all above. If you made $100,000 or less last year, you would get $10,000 right into your bank account. If you made more, then you would only get $5,000. And if you're not at the threshold, you get a lump sum for how much money you got, and then get paid $13 an hour going forward. It sounds really good. And, clearly I've remembered how to say it and describe it. It just rolls off my tongue. But are you ever going to see it? As I sit here today, no. As I sit here today, there's absolutely no path to seeing how hazard pay is ever going to ever happen. Now, it could totally change tomorrow. All it takes is Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin to sit down and start negotiating, or it takes Mitch McConnell agreeing to start doing stuff off the HEROES Act. But no one says that they're going to do that. Of course, if they say it, I'm going to immediately start recording and tell you, hey, there's new hope for hazard pay. But as we sit here today, there's no hope for federal hazard pay before I get to the state and before I get to the business hazard pay. So I certainly still have viewers who are DMing me and tweeting me and sending me, balloons, with the clowns. Hey, can I get some of that hazard pay? There's no hazard pay for you to get. It's just like, I just don't know who these people are. They don't ask it as if they qualify. They're like, it's out there. Can I go get some? Can I go get some of that hazard pay? Yeah, you can also get some, home videos of the Easter Bunny doing potluck with Lucky Charms. It's like, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Hazard pay is not law. There's no law giving you $10,000. So I know that you hear that number, $10,000. This is like, oh, I want that $10,000. There is no law giving you the $10,000. And at this point, there doesn't appear to be ever a path to making it a law to give you $10,000. So can you get some other money is the great news. Well, let's get to that. There is state and local hazard pay, and then there's business hazard pay. Let me explain what business hazard pay is. Several businesses in several industries of businesses have been paying hazard pay since the pandemic started. Often they don't call it hazard pay, they call it bonus. The reason is because they're a business. They don't want to say you work in a hazardous environment. It's like, hi, have you come to work in our hazardous environment? It's very hazardous, but I'd like to see you tomorrow to work in our hazardous. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, have you come to our beautiful show place and our showcase showdown? And here's a bonus for you. Just don't cough on anyone. That's basically what they're going to do. And that's what they have done. So they call it bonuses. And they paid bonuses in the spring. Some paid bonuses thereafter. But this is the big contention of what's happening with business hazard pay, private hazard pay, businesses employing you, is that a lot of businesses don't want to pay the hazard pay anymore because they're not making the type of money they were making before. They tied hazard pay to the fact that there were so many people out the door in line to get into the business that they were making fortunes. They could afford to give you some extra $500, $600, or $900 there. Now they just don't have it, so they don't want to give you the bonus this time around. It has become a big issue, and this is what you need to know. What you need to know is you need to know whether or not there's a union that covers your industry that you work in, and whether or not it's slightly aligned to what you do, because those unions are the ones that are fighting to get you hazard pay in the private sector. They are grocery store unions, they are medical unions, They are pharmaceutical unions, the shipping and handling unions. They are fighting to get hazard pay. The reason why is because their union members are working in these environments. They're dying and they're getting sick, and they're not getting a penny for the hazardous work environment that is still there. It's still unchanged since the spring. They're doing protests. It's no reason for me to record a video every single day about, hey, there's a new protest down the street. News 11, there's another protest. Why do I keep on? There's no reason to keep on recording that video. What's important to report to you is that you need to reach out to the unions that are slightly aligned with what you do. So, for example, if you work in a grocery store or liquor store and it's non-unionized, reach out to the union that's in your area that does grocery stores, and try to see if you can be part of their effort to get it from local businesses. It's part of a collective effort. That's the first thing. The second thing is some businesses are actually paying hazard pay. So you need to be on alert of whether or not you qualify it and whether you've applied for it. A lot of major companies are paying it but aren't calling it hazard pay. They're calling it bonus. Third, there's public, state, and local hazard pay being announced everywhere. And this goes back to sort of how I used to record over a month ago, where I would tell people, go look for grants. Here's another grant. Go look for grants for rent. Go look for this. What I'm saying now for hazard pay is the same thing. Your hope for a federal hazard pay in the Congress may be dead, at least for today, as we sit around Thursday afternoon. But keep your ears and eyes open if there is a state or local hazard pay for you where you live. The reason why is a lot of this does not get big press coverage. Minutes ago, there was another deal to do hazard pay for one area. The city of Chesapeake decided to extend a one-time payment to employees who have been working during the pandemic, but had otherwise not been covered by federal funds of hazard pay. This is a new article by the Virginia Pilot. City council members this week approved $1.6 million for hazard pay, and this is incredible, great news. This is as a result of the CARES Act. Job classifications are not finalized. So this is an example. This is something new. They don't even know which jobs will apply. But the payments will be spread over a base of 3 tiers and will go out in separate checks over the next month. These employees mostly fall into Tier 1 and receive a $2,000 bonus. Those are mostly health workers or those in public safety who face-to-face interactions with the public. Tier 2 will receive a $1,000 payment. This includes employees designated by the city manager as critical to the maintenance of operations. Phase 3 would be $500. These are employees who are $4,000. These are people who work in a certain less hazardous environment. What's important to understand is that everything is quite different. Some hazard pays on a city level are only for their city employees. Some are just actually for businesses in general, even private sector businesses. Some hazard pay payments are one time. Some are multiple checks like this one. Some are, not a lot of money, maybe $200, $300. Some are sizable like this one, $2,000 or 3 $2,000 checks. So you can't just assume that there's nothing out there for you. It may be out there. What I try to do with this channel is always empower people to say, hey, this is what you should look for and this is what you should ask for. And so if you are watching this video and you were a grocery store worker and worked during the pandemic, and I don't care whether you're furloughed or laid off, you still always qualify when we're doing hazard pay videos. Then Google your city and Google your state and add hazard pay to the word search and see if there's something for where you live. And you might be shocked. There was a video, it was a broadcast news article yesterday where someone interviewed this wonderful city manager in some city across the country and said, what about this fund? And she said, oh, actually, it was in Southern California. I forgot. It was close to Riverside County. And she said there was a lot of money dedicated by our county for these people. And no one knew that this grant is sitting out there. So it's still sitting there and no one's applying for it. So she literally had to go on to the local news, the city officials, say, hey, can you please apply for our grant? And it was in the context of hazard pay. So with that, always stay really focused. There's so much out there. I can't unfortunately do it for you city by state, but go to Google and type in your city and your state and look for hazard pay. And if you're doing that and you're wondering about also rent eviction rules, you might as well also do a search for rent eviction. That was always the video I did no more than 2 months ago. Boy, as I sit here now and I'm at the 14-minute mark, I can at least smell the smoke. The smoke for the local fires is getting very bad today. So I appreciate any subscribing or liking to this channel you can offer at a time in which it's hard to record once again. Go to the front of the channel and hit the subscribe button and hit the alert so you get an alert when a new video goes live. If you're subscribed to this channel but don't show a red button next to your name, go into the pinned comments of this video. It shows how to unsubscribe and resubscribe to ensure you have a pinned red button next, so you see a red button next to your name. It means that you're part of this community, you're part of the Purple Power, and I respond first to people who are subscribed before other people. Additionally, if you comment a lot, and I like your comments a lot with hearts, you'll see a red heart next to your name. Congratulations to those new viewers who now have a red heart next to their name. Also, like the video. It helps to have the video appear higher in the algorithm, and you've been doing really quite well. We've been ranking anywhere from 1 to 3 on every video. So with that, stay tuned next as a big major development on FEMA money and LWA, PUA, UI, and FPUC. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.